Hi there. Today at the StreetStrider workshop, I'm going to show you how to change the cable from a twist grip shifter. Now in our 8-speed ETX 8Rs, we have two different types of twist grip shifters that have been used. This one here shows a Shimano 8-speed twist grip shifter, and over here on this one we have a Microshift 8-speed twist grip shifter. The cables are slightly different, and the way you change the cable is also slightly different. I'm going to take one at a time. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay? First thing I'm going to do is turn this StreetStrider up on its front end so I can get access to the rear hub. All right? To get access to the rear wheel, I'm going to lock the front brakes. I'm going to raise this up so I can see what's going on up here. I'm going to put it in first gear, and I'm going to use my 2mm hex wrench in this little slot here, rotate that back, and take my clamping screw out. I'm also going to pull down on the housing to release this from that little shift arm there. Alright, now I have this released. Now I have to take this end piece off and that clamping screw off so I can pull this cable through. With a pair of pliers, I'm going to squeeze that aluminum piece and pull that off the cable like that. And with this pair of pliers, I'm going to hold the clamping screw from the back end. This is a 10mm nut. I'm going to loosen that nut right there. I'm going to pull that off the cable. All right. The cable is loose. I got a couple little kinks in it, and I'm going to straighten those out a little bit with my fingers so it will slide easily through the housing. Okay, even on this end right here, there's a little kink. All right. Now, I'm going to lift the front end of the vehicle back up again so I can work on the shifter. Okay, so here's where the cable housing goes in. Now that it's loose on that end, I can pull this down and we can see the cable in there. All right. Now on this particular Microshift shifter, on this side over here, let's come all the way around so you can see this. There's a little plug that goes in right there. When this is in first gear, I can push this cable up inside and cause it to pop out of that hole. Okay, there's the cable coming out. So now I'm going to pull this cable through. Alright, the cable has come out. Now, to put a new cable in, we're going to reverse this process. We're going to keep this in gear 1, but what we're going to do on this other side over here, and I'm going to pull this adjusting nut down and the spring off, because the cable pushing through would get caught on that spring. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the cable into this hole right there while this is in first gear, and it slides in through the hole right there like that, and it comes out over here on this side. So I just push the cable through. Now I need to put this spring back on. I need to put the spring back on this way, and then this adjuster nut, following it right up, and get that secured all the way up. Okay, now I'm going to pull this cable out, all the way out, so that the end of the cable piece enters the hole on this side. So here's the end piece again, and that's going to go all the way down inside that cavity, just like that. And I have to move the shifter just a little bit to get it to go in. All right, now that's all the way in. I can put this little rubber cap back on again. All right, now on this side, over here, I'm going to take this cable end and I'm going to put it down into the housing and shove it all the way through, a little bit at a time. We're just about in all the way. Okay, now when there's that much cable left, the cable has already appeared out the back end. So this cable is out here now. I can pull out the rest of this cable that way, which then pulls this housing up into the adjustment nut. Okay, it's all the way out. It's in first gear and it's tight that way. Now I can go ahead and adjust this by putting my clamping screw on to 100 millimeters on this. So I'm going to tip it up on its end again so we can work on this end. But the twist grip shifter is all done. The cable's in, the cable housing is up inside the adjuster nut, and the cap on this side is closed. So, I'm going to lift it up again so we can get access to the top end. Now there's our cable. All right. I'm going to put on my clamping screw. And you see how that goes in. There's a little hole there that this fits through. Goes through that side, like that. And it goes up there. And now what I have to do is I have to measure this and make sure that that distance is 100 millimeters. I'm going to tighten this nut just a little bit so it holds its place. I'm going to get my metric ruler and I'm going to measure this from the cable housing right there all the way to that nut. Should be 100 millimeters right to where the center of that nut is. And it's a little bit longer, so I'm going to lift it up, push it in just a little bit, and then check it again. Let's turn this around so you can see the nut. Right there is 100 millimeters. Okay, that's where that should be set. Alright, now without disturbing that, I'm going to get my pliers. Again, I'm going to put my pliers on this side. Tighten up that nut. Make it secure. Squeezes down on the cable really well. I'm going to put my little end piece on there so the cable doesn't fray. Should go right in there like that. I'm going to squeeze that tight. Okay. Now with my 2 millimeter wrench, I'm going to pull this down. Put this back into that slot, just like that. I'm going to move this cable housing down here and get in the end of this control arm, or the shift arm right here. Slide it up in there. I can release that a little bit. Slide this up in there. Okay, our cable's all the way in. Cable housing is inside that part. We're all done. Now what we can do is check this to make sure that our adjuster's all right. Okay, so what we have left to do is to make sure that these two yellow lines here line up when we put it in fourth gear. So I'm going to go to the shifter and I'm going to shift that to fourth gear. We're going to look and see if they line up, and they line up perfectly. If they didn't quite line up, we would use this adjuster down here on the twist grip shifter. This right here is our fine adjustment. So if they didn't line up, you can turn this one way or the other, shift back to first gear, adjust, shift back to fourth gear, and check it, and get this so that it lines up perfectly in fourth gear. Alright? So, we're all done. We replaced the cable housing in a Microshift shifter. Now we're going to do that also for the Shimano shifter.